So we started talking about the disparity of the points of view about whether the trade war was won by Trump yesterday or not, whether it was a no victory at all or a huge victory, whatever. Same thing going on with Musk, right? There are people who see this as heroic. There are people who see this as long overdue, as correcting decades of injustice and unfairness and waste. Musk is very focused on cutting. You see here his tweet. He's tweeting up a storm, even more than usual, I think, and saying America, there's one chance to deal with bureaucracy, to cut spending, to put the people back in charge. And it's saying it's up to the people to do this. Responding to a Schumer tweet. Okay, put up 103. Our friend Bridget Fatesi, who's a genius. If you don't follow her, you should. Here's what she says. An unelected shadow government, this is in response to Elon's tweet. An unelected shadow government just ran this country for 4 years while they hid the fact that the elected president was barely functioning and shamed Americans for pointing it out. It was so bad, the people overwhelmingly voted for Trump, and yet Democrats still don't get it. Last thing, and then I'll throw it open to you guys. Marco Rubio. USAID has become, even though there's tons of cuts and firings and all sorts of things going on in other departments, USAID has become the flashpoint for a variety of reasons. Here is Marco Rubio last night on Fox 101, please, talking about
So
changes
they're
at
completely
USAID.
so they're completely unresponsive. They just don't consider that they work for the U.S. They just think they're a global entity and that their master is the globe and not the United States. And that's not what the statute says, and that's not sustainable. This is not about getting rid of foreign aid. There are things that we do through USAID that we should continue to do that makes sense. And we'll have to decide, is that better through the State Department or is that better through something, a reformed USAID? That's the process we're working through. There are things that are happening at USAID that we should not be involved in funding or that we have a lot of questions about, but they're completely uncooperative. So we had no choice but to take dramatic steps to bring this thing under control.
So again, there are people on the left on MSNBC, some people in CNN who are saying this USAID thing is proving that Trump is completely over his skis, that Musk is an idiot, that even people like Susan Collins are raising questions about it, and that this is the threads on the sweater have been pulled to the point where the whole thing's about to collapse. And there are people who say Musk and company are marching with Trump support inexplicably towards massive revolutionary change. Sean, which is it?
Well, I'm actually intrigued as a guy who's been in and out of government for 30 years that they chose USAID first. And I think the way that they did, I actually was really impressed with the White House's response yesterday. I mean, this is the list, you read this stuff off: $70,000 for DEI, Musical Ireland, $2.7 million for electrical vehicles in Vietnam, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. I know, it was very telling. Brian Mast, Florida congressman, was on with Margaret Brennan, and she started going after him. Well, that's not that much money. That, to me, if you want to defend that, that tells you exactly they picked the right fight. If you're going to defend our tax dollars being spent like that, good luck. Best to you. And so I think that I was kind of a little head scratching why they picked USAID first out of the gate. But I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And you saw Caroline Levitt and others go out last night and just sort of boom, 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 boom. If you want to be defending that, I think that's a pretty losing, big losing hand.
And presumably they have that list in their back pocket.